About a year ago, we both independently requested discipline records from the Maine State Police, and we both received them in December of 2020. And when we got them, we expected to be able to see what the officers got in trouble for, what was the misconduct that they had committed in order to get punished. And instead what we found was that the records were written in such a vague way that it was mostly impossible to determine what had transpired. And so we decided, since we both had the same material, to join forces, even though we're competitors, and come together to jointly report on the misconduct that the records left out. And along the way, we've made a number of other discoveries that our journalism will showcase. How do you think about investigative journalism? How would you define it for the public, especially when it comes to looking into law enforcement?
Investigative journalism is a patient, tedious process most of the time. In this case, when I requested 5 years worth of discipline records from the Maine State Police, it took more than 6 months to even get a response back. And then the documents didn't even say very much. And it's kind of putting all these little keyhole views that make up one story together so that you can understand it. And that, again, is labor intensive. It takes a lot of time. It's not something that an ordinary person would usually do, but journalists will do it. I think that process does two things. It speaks to the value of journalism as an independent institution in society that can ask these questions that might not otherwise get asked. And it also speaks to the nature of this story, which is that it's terribly inconvenient to learn answers to really basic questions like, how is law enforcement holding itself accountable?
What have you learned about police misconduct during the course of reporting all of this? What's one big thing that you've learned? And I'll make it a two-part question. So what also have you learned or relearned about journalism?
I think the project has helped me reframe how I think about what journalism can do, and reminds me that there are still ways that we can be drivers of a bigger conversation in the state, that it's part of our responsibility to think of ourselves as not just storytellers and reporters, but in the truest sense, a check on government in a way that no other group or institution can do.